finish logic today. And it is some vocabulary, so it's important. I have the notes already kind of filled out for you. Find this in your packet, so don't work ahead on any of the problems, because I really want you to kind of understand what the vocabulary is saying. So I think this is about halfway through your packet. Middle of the page, you should already have some of it highlighted from last week where we talked about the symbols. So if you were not here, make sure that you look on with somebody and get those highlighted parts. But I'm going to introduce 3 new words today, and they are called the converse, inverse, and contrapositive. Okay? And so they're basically new conditional statements that you can write. So in your notes that you have in front of you, you have the symbols that they stand for. If I have some regular old conditional statement, what does the arrow mean? What symbol does the arrow mean that we learned last week? Good, if then. So we know that. So if P, then Q. If I'm going to write the converse statement, notice what happens. I switch them. So I like to think as a way to help me remember what to do. Notice sometimes you're switching them, sometimes you're negating them, sometimes you do both. So I want us to help try to figure out a way to remember when do I do what, because it's really just memorization. So with the converse, the way that I remember it, and I don't know if this would help you, but you ever be in a conversation, have you ever been in a conversation with someone and they switch your words around? Right? And you're like, wait a minute, I didn't say that. Right? So that's what helps me remember. Converse, conversation, switch. Switch your words around. That just helps me remember. Okay? Another thing that helps me remember is contrapositive is a long word. Do you agree? A real long word. So what do you think we're going to do? Both. We're going to do everything. You're going to switch it and negate it. Now, what does negate mean? What does that mean? It means you put the word not, right? So like not happy, not a dog, not, I don't know, whatever, we put that word not. We'll look for that. So let's do an example, and this is one I would like for you to try to find some room somewhere, whether it be in the margin or maybe on one of the bottoms of one of the empty pages in your packet on logic, wherever you can find some room. And let's start with this sentence, okay? So if I study, then I will pass. We're all gearing up for this SOL that we're going to be taking in a couple of weeks. May 2nd, that's our day. It's May 2nd. I'll double check, but I just got it's May 2nd. Okay? So we have 2 weeks from Thursday. Okay? The good news is that we're done with logic today. And then I just have a couple more new things to tell you. And so we really will have 2 weeks to just review, which is good. Okay? All right. So if I study, then I will pass. If you look at the notes on your paper, you'll see that we have 2 pieces, and they have special names. What follows the word if is called the hypothesis. Do you see that in your notes where it says hypothesis? Okay. So whatever follows the word if, we're just going to be calling it the hypothesis. What follows the word then is called the conclusion. And it's just the conclusion of the conditional statement. Okay? So if I study, then I'm going to pass. What's the truth value of that? What do I mean when I say that? Truth value. Feeling okay? Is it always true? Has anyone ever studied and not passed? It can happen, unfortunately, right? We hope it doesn't, but it could happen. So it's not always true. Can we put this in symbol form? Yeah. What would the symbol form be? What does the if then translate to a symbol? The arrow. So in symbol form, we would be P, arrow, Q. Do you agree? Okay, good. So what I want us to do is think about how we could write the sentences for all three of these things. So you have your notes in front of you. You have the converse. And what does it say that we do? In a conversation, what does someone do to your words? Switches it. So how am I going to write the new statement? If what? Right, so we know what the symbols would be, but what about the words here? If I pass, then I, that's right. So if I pass, then I studied. I'm not going to be super picky about the tense of your verb. If you just wrote studied, that would be okay. But notice what happens. I just switched what follows the if and the then. Are we okay with that? Yeah? Any questions? All right. What about the inverse? Look at your notes, and what does it tell me that in the inverse I'm going to be doing? Negating, right? So I'm going to be putting nots in there. So it would say, oops, sorry, wrong one. It would say if, and does the order change? No, the order stays the same. I'm just putting nots. I'm just negating it. So if I don't study, or if I do not study, then I will not pass. Is that okay? The same order, we're just negating it. Now, what if the original sentence, your original one, had a not in there already? How do you negate a not? Take it out. It's like you ever heard the word double negative in English? Right? You can't have a double negative, right? So you just take it out. So if it said, if I do not study, what would be the negate? Right? So I just want to make sure that, because we're going to be doing, I'm introducing the orange cards today, and everyone will get 5 orange cards before we leave. I'll get a signature on your passport. But some of these have that, so I just wanted to tell you that. So if it already has a not, you take it out. All right, last one, contrapositive. It's the longest word, which means I'm doing everything to it. I'm switching the order, and I'm negating. So what would the sentence read? If what? If I do not pass, then I did not study. Good. How do we feel about that one? Not too bad? Okay. All right. Questions so far? All right. So I'm going to throw you one of these foam dice, and I want you to roll it on your desk. And you don't have to write this down, but we're going to come up with some sentences to this. So Gazal, catch. Okay, roll it on your desk. Let's roll it. What is that letter? B. B stands for biconditional. Of course, we had to start with that one. That's okay. What is biconditional? Who remembers that from last week? Biconditional. What words? Look at your notes are in front of you. Look up. What does biconditional stand for? If and only if. So if I wanted to make this a biconditional, what would that be read like? It would say, I will buy a dress if and only if I will buy a dress if and only if I go to prom. Notice where the words if and only if are. They're in the middle, okay? Whereas this is two parts, okay? What symbol is the biconditional? Double arrow. Okay, good. All right, Gazal, let's have somebody else roll. Patrick, ready? All right, roll it on your desk. What'd you get? Letter C. So C we're going to do with converse, because CP I put for contrapositive. What's going to be the converse of this statement? If what? Remember what we do with converse. In a conversation, they switched my words around. So what am I going to say here? If I, hey, whoa, Patrick. If I go to prom, because you got to switch it around. So if I go to prom, then what? Then I bought a dress. Is that true, Patrick? Yeah? No, not for you, right? So the truth value would be false. That's okay. Any questions so far? All right, go ahead. Sure. All right. Sarah, ready? All right, roll it on your desk. All right, try it again. CP, contrapositive. What's a contrapositive going to be here? Whoa, Sarah. If what? Exactly. Beautiful. So if I do not, right, go to prom, then I will not buy a dress. Great. All right, last one is just the inverse. So we're gonna just do it together as a class. So Maya, help me out. What am I gonna do for the inverse? What do I do with the inverse? Thank you, baby. Shh. Amazing, right? So the order is in there. Same order, you're just gonna negate it. So if I don't buy a dress, then I will not go to prom. A lot of words, right? A lot of words. Look at that. Okay. What I'd like for you guys to do is go ahead and turn to the last, to the practice problems, which is the next page, and do problems 1 and 2. So problems 1 and 2 on the logic practice that deal with inverse and contrapositive. So looking here, number 1, what answer did you get, Jamie? Huh? A? So it says, which is the inverse? If Sam leaves, then I will stay. Inverse means same order, but I just make them knots, right? So if Sam does not leave, then I will not stay. The answer should be B. How'd we do? Okay? I plugged them in because the battery's dead. So I'm trying to talk about making it up. Otherwise, it won't have any volume at all. I need a new battery. All right, number 2, contrapositive. Contrapositive means I'm doing everything. I switch them and I negate them. So if I'm not in Virginia, then I'm not in Richmond. How'd we do? Okay? Don't forget that if we have the not already in there, when you negate it, you take it out. Right? That's going to come up on somebody's on the orange cards, I know for sure. All right. How do we feel about, give me a thumbs up, converse, inverse, contrapositive. This is, I feel pretty good. This is, I don't know, I need more practice. So this is like, I have no idea what you said this record. Give me some kind of idea. How you feeling? Maybe? Okay? All right. So let me see some practice. And you will practice on the orange card. So you'll get some more practice on that today. Okay. Can't wait. I love it, Patrick. I know you didn't need it, but that's all right. All right. Take it like you did. All right, go ahead and flip back to your notes for me, folks. Flip back to your notes. Okay? This is a note page. This is at the bottom, very bottom. I know. At least most of it I've written for you, right? I tried to save you some writing. You're welcome. Okay. practice with. I don't care if you know that that's detachment and that's syllogism. You'll never be asked for those words, okay? The detachment versus syllogism. It doesn't matter the name of it. What it's going to ask you is it a valid conclusion? Okay. So that's what it's going to ask you. Valid conclusion. What does the word valid mean? A true conclusion, a good conclusion, one that works. So valid. Okay? What do these three little dots mean that we learned last week? Therefore. So doesn't that mean conclusion? Yeah. Okay. So these two here are the valid conclusions in symbol form. Okay? We're going to do one at a time. The first one that we're going to do is the one on the right-hand side. Okay? What do all of those arrows mean? What kind of a sentence do we have to be if we have all those arrows? So we have a bunch of if-then statements. If you notice, we actually have 3 of them. Don't you agree? 3 if-then statements. The last one is the valid conclusion. So let's see if we can look at the letters before we look at the words. So notice what the direction goes. So if P, then Q. But I have to start with if Q, then R. So then I go straight from P to R. What do you notice happens to those Q's? They kind of undo each other. People think about this, selling the Q's out. That's mathematically not really correct, and I understand your thinking, right? And you go straight from P to R. One thing that we like to say is draw the Venn diagrams. This is what you should add to your picture. This particular law would have a Venn diagram that would look like this. It would say, if P, then Q, if Q, then R, and guess what? The conclusion would be, if P, then R. I love you. Yes, it's amazing connection to algebra. It's very similar to the transitive property that you learned last year, except for the transitive property had those equal signs in it, right? We are going to be doing it with just the arrows. But yes, very, very similar. That's an awesome connection. Okay? So let's try to do a sentence with it, and let's see if we can make this work. Okay? We want it to be a valid conclusion, so I'm going to start by doing my Venn diagram. You don't have to do the Venn diagram, it just helps me figure out what it should say. So if you ride a bike, then you will fall. If you fall, then you will scrape your knee. What should the conclusion say? If you ride a bike, then you'll scrape your knee. Notice I have 1, 2, and my conclusion should say, if you ride a bike, then you will scrape your knee. Yeah? You can kind of thinking about it, the if you will falls, and you just go straight from P to R. Yeah? How do we feel about this so far? Sort of? Maybe? Okay? All right. I'd like to look at one that's not valid. Is that okay? All right. So one that's not valid might be like this. So this is my first sentence. My second one might say, if it does not swim, then it drowns. What should the conclusion be? There isn't one. This is not valid. Why? Okay, well, if I just took the, like, you're right, fish are not going to drown, but even if I took that meaning behind it, how is this one supposed to start? Remember that it goes P to Q, Q to R, and then my conclusion should be P to R, right? The problem is with that. Look, what's the word that should not be there? Not. Doesn't this say not swim? Does this say not swim? These have to be the same thing. Does that make sense? So this is not valid. Look at what a Venn diagram would look like. If it is a fish, then it must swim. This says if it does not swim, it's out here. If it does not swim, then I don't know, drowns is over here. It doesn't fit it doesn't fit the 3 circles, if that visual helps you. So not valid. How do we feel about this law? Are we okay so far? All right. Let's look at the other one. Let's start with the symbols first. How many if-then statements do you see? 1. How many if-then statements were over here? 3. This is the first one, is the only if-then statement. What does the second sentence talk about? The hypothesis, doesn't it? The P, it's whatever follows the if, and then the conclusion, the valid conclusion, is about Q. So let me show you what does that look like in practice. So let's look at this. All dogs have fur. Is that an if-then? Is that a conditional statement? Can I make it an if-then if I wanted to? Yeah. So let's try it. If it's a dog, it has fur. If it's a dog, then it has fur. Notice what statement 2 is about. It's some example. I happen to pick my dog's name, my bulldog, Isabella. Okay, Izzy, call her Izzy Wizzy, fat dog, FD, Chubby Wubby, I don't know, kind of lost her. Her name is Isabella. Notice what it's talking about. It's talking about the P, right? What must the valid conclusion say? Isabella has fur. So just kind of look at what I've done here. Okay? Dog, dog. It must start with the P. The conclusion, fur, fur. The order of those things matters. That's real important. Okay? So let's take this example and make it not valid. What would a not valid look like in this case? It would say, if it's a fish, then it must swim. We'll say, Mrs. Macker swims. Actually, who's going to be the lifeguard? Sarah's going to be the lifeguard, right? So Sarah and Carter, well, we're going to have a whole class full. Okay, so Sarah swims. Okay? Why is that not valid? Because what is it talking about? No, it's talking about the second part. Look at your notes. What is the second? It has to talk about being a fish, doesn't it? Does that make sense? This is not valid because it's talking about the wrong part. Are we okay with that? Not valid. So okay than Sarah must swim. Okay? I'm just going to rescue. Awesome. How do they feel? Let's practice. Go ahead and look at logic, the practice number 8. Okay? We have a whole bunch of words. I want you to see if you can figure out which one is going to be the valid conclusion. Okay? So look at problem number 8 and decide which one should be the valid conclusion.